Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live One. I am Big Matt, your capper extraordinaire. The big story today, the injury bug continues in the NFL. Already in a league that's down Tua Tagovailoa, Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Puka Nakua, Marquise Brown, Matt Milano, DeForest Buckner, Derek Brown, J.J. McCarthy, Malcolm Kuntz, Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham, Kendrick Bourne, Tyler Higbee, Lane Johnson, Bradley Chubb, and A.J. Brown. We've added 3 more star players to the pile last night in a game that was expected to be an ugly rock fight and more than exceeded expectations. Giants rookie wide receiver sensation and pretty much their only good skill position player, Malik Neighbors, and Cowboys star edge rusher Micah Parsons both went down on Thursday Night Football in back-to-back plays. Neighbors looks like he's out with a concussion. No timeline for his return just yet. Parsons got carted off the field with a leg injury. That scared the piss out of every Cowboys fan I know. But preliminary reports are that it's a high ankle sprain, but that's an injury that's usually a 2 to 3 week recovery time. And then 4-time Pro Bowl defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence hurt his foot in the third quarter. He's expected to miss multiple weeks. This is a much worse situation for the Cowboys than the Giants. They have a brutal stretch of games coming up with the Steelers and the Lions leading into their bye week in Week 7. Then they have the 49ers on the road, the Falcons on the road, the Eagles at home, and then the Texans at home the week before Thanksgiving. They cannot afford injuries right now with how tenuous their position is. They have one of the worst run defenses in all of the NFL, and everyone's exploiting it who even remotely can. The Giants couldn't last night. Singletary is not that guy. Meanwhile, the Eagles get the Buccaneers, the Browns, the Giants, the Jaguars, and the Bengals before their game against the Cowboys in Dallas. It's entirely possible Dallas is effectively out of the NFC East race before that game even happens. We went a perfect 3-0 on our picks last night. It's been good times. I love having so much meaningful baseball still being played in the final weekend of the season. We got some Friday night lights and some MLB to go over tonight. Let's get to it. And we're going to start with what should be an awesome game tonight between my alma mater, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, and the Washington Huskies, who are making their first ever cross-country road trip as a member of the Big Ten. They're doing it on a short week. Rutgers having their blackout game. They do this on a night home game every year. They're at a 2.5-point home favorite. It's really tough to be able to tell what to make of Washington. On the one hand, they had a bad loss in the Apple Cup against Wazoo. They came back and then beat a Northwestern team at home in a game where their defense did look a whole lot more dominant, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. It's Northwestern. They honestly don't even care about their football program right now while they play their home games on what amounts to a high school field that looks like it's going to fall into Lake Michigan any second. Rutgers has risen to the expectations they had coming into this year. They have an offense that finally clicks with one of the best running backs in the country in Kyle Monangai. He's not explosive. He doesn't break a ton of huge runs, but he is consistent. He's a guy that you can hand the ball off to 30 or 35 times a game, and he'll get you 6 yards almost every time. When Virginia Tech bottled him up last week, they were able to open up the passing playbook. I don't think they're going to be able to do that with quite the same success this week. The Huskies secondary is definitely the best part of their team. So expect Rutgers to dance with what brought them. Lots and lots and lots of running. We're going to be dealing with a light, steady rain in Piscataway all game tonight. Again, that's not the factor that it used to be, but it should still make for more running plays than you'd see otherwise for both teams. Washington has been an under machine this year. All 4 of their games thus far have gone under the total. This is not an offense that puts up a ton of points, even when they probably could against lesser opponents, or gives up a ton of points at all on defense. And Rutgers chews up so much clock when they're moving the football. I love the under 45 points in this game tonight. Virginia Tech and Miami, the Hokies are not as advertised this year. They lost an absolute stinker to Vanderbilt in a game that shouldn't even have been close. They lost by 3 to Rutgers last week, but don't let that fool you. Rutgers dominated that game for 3.5 quarters, and the Hokies got back in it at garbage time. Miami, I can't decide if they're as good as their rankings or not. Their defense certainly looks legit. They're 10th in the nation in opponent yards per play versus FBS opponents and 7th in defensive success rate. They've played a lot of weak teams. They've just played a lot of garbage teams so far this year. I would almost never consider any game where Mario Cristobal is involved to be a coaching mismatch in his favor, but it's really hard to argue with the poor game planning and slow starts Virginia Tech's been off to this year. They're averaging just 8.5 first-half points a game. That's good for a ranking outside the top 100 in the country. There's just no sense of urgency with this team whatsoever, and it's all of these things combined that make me want to take Virginia Tech's team total under 17.5 points tonight. I know that's a real low number, especially in college football and especially for a Power 4 team, but I have watched every Hokies game on television this year so far, and I can tell you this team comes out flat every game, and I just don't see anything to tell me that they're figuring it out as the season goes on. They're not going to come out on fire suddenly on the road against one of the best defenses in the country. Just not going to happen. So, yeah, Virginia Tech team total under 17.5 points. Over to baseball, and yes, we are still playing a ton of meaningful ball in the final weekend series of the regular season. One of those games is tonight in the Guardians-Astros game. The Guardians sit a game behind the Yankees for the best record in the American League with just 3 games left to play, so they need a big win. Honestly, they need a sweep in this series. Houston has already clinched the AL West following one of the most epic second-half collapses in decades by the Seattle Mariners. But they have no chance of getting one of the first-round byes, so expect them to be resting starters all this weekend. However, they are putting Ronel Blanco on the mound tonight. He's been stellar at keeping opponents off the scoreboard all year long. He's only allowed 4 runs in 22 1/3 innings his last 4 starts. Joey Cantillo is on the mound for the Guardians. He's been hit or miss all year long, but he has been very strong again in his last 4 starts. He's only given up 4 runs. I fully expect the Guardians to go balls out and make full use of the best bullpen in baseball to chase that 1 seed and home field throughout. It's so important, especially this year where so many teams are just so evenly matched. So if Cantillo does get in trouble, I expect him to be yanked. He's going to be on a very short leash. Either way, we have a recipe for a low score early in the game, so give me the Guardians and the Astros first 5 under 4.5 runs. That is my third and final play for the night. Everyone bet safe, stay safe. Follow us on X at Live One Sports. Check us out on Roku and Fire TV at the Live Ones. Have yourselves a great Friday night, and I will see you next time.